You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
You know what's crazy in sports? The money. The money's nuts. Like, I'm thinking parts we're numb to the money. I am, at least. Mm-hmm. But then there's money sometimes, and I really feel now it's more like the NBA money that catches my attention more than like quarterback money.
Trevor got paid, and now everybody can get paid. Is that what you're saying?
No, like quarterback money at $275 million or whatever. It just feels like, all right, that's like its own separate category because, in fact, they might even there's conversation they might make it its own salary cap.
Yeah,
the quarterback stuff. That was one thing that happened in the last couple of weeks. That rumor started to pop, which I don't know if I blame them for that. I mean, it's such a different price tag for that position, especially if that guy's elite, and it should be. That guy's asked to do a lot more. I actually think it's a wild thing to me. Money makes people go nuts and makes jealousy and other things, envy. I'm very impressed at how other players in NFL locker rooms handle the quarterback money. Mm-hmm. Because, now, listen, they're getting paid nice, too. These salaries have gone up really well, especially if you're a top-flight wide receiver or Josh Allen pass rusher. But I think they all are fine with the money the quarterbacks are making because they know there's so much more on that guy's plate.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I mean, you know that. Like,
of course,
what you have to do you have to do a lot. There's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of pressure. But what you have to do as a pass rusher versus what Trevor has to do in terms of his daily stuff, coming in on Tuesdays, the pressure that's on him, what he has to even do on the football field to make sure you guys are a success is totally different. And then the media stuff and he has to talk to the media. You don't. He has to talk to the media like each and every week a couple of times. So it is a little bit different set of rules. And I think what's been always impressive to me is I think the players in locker rooms are comfortable with that. They're okay with that. They're like, hey, this dude's doing a lot more. Like, he probably should get a lot more.
Of course.
Do you sense that?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, it's I say it all the time. It's the most important position in all professional sports. So I think, like, yeah, when Trevor got paid, you saw a lot of guys celebrating and being happy for him. Now, when Daniel Jones got paid, I'm not sure if we saw all of that from the New York Giants faithful, but I guess we can find out on a Hard Knock starting tonight. I believe it'll be airing.
That's right. Actually, it is. You're right. The Giants offseason Hard Knocks. So anyway, I bring this money part into the fold because my buddy's he's like, do you believe Jayson Tatum got like $61 million a year?
Yeah.
The NBA money is insane.
But it makes sense, though. Yeah or not? You don't get it? Because, I mean, there's only 400 and something players in the NBA, and you got like 1,500 players in the NFL?
I listen.
Not counting practice squad guys, too, and everything?
I'm not saying they shouldn't make that. They do something that nobody. Here's what my view has always been: they do something that nobody can do, or very few people can do. 440 people can do.
Yeah.
Like if you're that 1%, I mean, go find me another guy, and it's a supply and demand issue here, right? Yeah. So, like, I'm not complaining about it. I just think it catches my attention more than NFL salaries. Maybe now even more than like Major League Baseball salaries, because the Major League Baseball salaries, to figure things out, they've now gone like 10 years, $350 million. They've spread it out so much that it's like, okay, wow, that's $350 million, but it's over like 10, 12, 13 years sometimes now that you understand it. The basketball money to me, like you can, I'm trying to think, who was the Knicks guy? Who just got paid like $200 million from the Knicks? You remember?
This is like super recently?
Just like a couple days ago. I figure it's like he had a $200 million contract. And I was like,
yeah, I mean, that's common. Like, I'm trying to,
but it feels like if you go back to 1999, 2000, maybe 2001, 2, whatever, the steroid era in baseball, we were paying guys in Major League Baseball at that time what seemed like a lot of money. Let's just say $9 or $10 million a year, even if they had a 4.5 ERA.
Yeah.
It was like you were still getting paid a ton. That's what it feels like in the NBA now. You can go average 17 points a game, which a million people do in the NBA, and go get a $35 million contract a year.
Without a doubt.
Which is just like, wow. Like, it's amazing. It's good to be average in the NBA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
pays to be average in the NBA. And that's really kind of like where I'm going. And I'm just telling you, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I just think it's eye-popping. It's so noticeable when the dollars in the NBA are real. And by the way, I think it comes to light something you were just suggesting. Not only minimal amount of players, 12-team rosters, whatever, 400 and something players in the league. Mm-hmm. It does show the popularity of the sport. Around here. We don't talk about globally. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge sport globally, and it's really hit a new level in the last 15 years, probably than it was even in the previous 20, 25, 30 years from that standpoint, because all you have to do is look at the Celtics. They bought that team for like $360 million not even that long ago, and they say now it's $5 billion when they sell the Celtics. Holy cats, does money make money?
So you're talking about OG Anunoby or whatever. He's resigning. He's with the Knicks before, and he's resigning.
Okay.
Yeah, so like they're bringing him back essentially.
But like, what does that dude average?
I mean, like he's definitely a two-way player. He's good at defense too. But let me see what he averaged last year.
That's another thing, right? It's like, hey, if you're good at defense, this helps.
That's not the worst thing. Let me see.
I'll factor that in. Nobody says that in baseball.
Well, no. See, this is why, like, to me, baseball can be like pitchers. You're paying a dude how many millions of dollars to pitch what every 1 in 5,
like $40 million a year.
Yeah. I mean, like, that to me is a little wild.
It is pretty wild. You're right. 20 starts, and nobody even gets 20 anymore.
So OG averaged 15 points a game, 3 rebounds, almost 4 rebounds, 3 assists.
What was it? 14 a game?
15 a game.
15 a game. He just got $200 million. Are they buying? Like, are they buying stock? Like buy low, sell? And taking a chance on it? Is that what this is? Or is that just the money?
Well, no. If I recall correctly, they traded him like halfway through the season from the Raptors. He kind of fit in right away. He was a big part of, them kind of reaching new echelon, going to the playoffs and everything. So I just think, like, is he a Jalen Brunson? Absolutely not. But can he be a pivotal role going forward for that team? I would think so.
Yeah, it's wild. Is it out of... Is it cool? Like, are you good? Like, the money, is it just going to keep going? Like, where are we? I thought we would hit, like, a top. I thought we would hit a ceiling. I thought that way in college football with coaches. I thought that way with college contracts with TV. I still wonder. I mean, there are a lot of suggestions in the TV world, like the ESPN's just making a grave for itself with all these rights deals that they're doing, but they haven't stopped doing it. And now in sports, I mean, like, where is the tipping point? Is there a tipping point? Is there a topping point?
Yeah. In the NBA, it's hard to quantify just how crazy it's going to be in the next 10 years. But like, I don't see a lot of teams playing defense anytime soon during the regular season. Like, I think points have been at an all-time high. Guys are scoring, and like, more goes into it obviously than just like points scored per game and everything. But I feel like if you can contribute, if you can put the ball in the basket, they're going to find a place for you. So I don't think the contracts anytime soon are going to go down. I think they're probably even going to go up, because I think NBA right now, like, I get it. It was kind of a boring finals. The Celtics just kind of dominated the entire playoff run, but we've talked about this many times before. You have more stars than ever. You have future stars now being built. You still have those household names, the LeBrons, if you will, but you kind of have now you got the old school, you got the new school coming up, and it's an exciting time to be an NBA fan. So I don't think the fandom, the intrigue, the must-watch ability is going anywhere anytime soon. Like, I think if people are following the NBA, they're going to keep on following the NBA, and I think there's more to like now more than ever.
Which sport would you say is the money most ridiculous?
That's a good question.
Or again, just because for me, I'm just being honest with you. Like, I feel like when I see an NBA contract, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Wild.
So here's what's wild to me, and take the Patrick Mahomes contract out of it because that was the anomaly. It's wild to me that you would invest 10 plus years in a player.
Yeah.
Where you can go, you know what? We're going to give you, hundreds of millions of dollars. And where you're at right now, we expect you to be pretty close to that in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, I don't know I feel like I do know, but I don't know I know the actual reasons for those long-term contracts now. I think that's less about performance in 10 years and more about dollars right now because of the revenue tax or the luxury tax in Major League Baseball. So if they spread things out and make it a longer deal, then you're not paying as much each year tax-wise, so it's worth paying the guy down the road rather than paying him right now type of thing. Okay. And you might still get, obviously, a player to play at that level. But that's a good point. Like, yeah, I mean, if you sign a deal at 29 years old, like, is that guy going to be worth $38 million at 39 years old? And what we know about this is, like, it's Tatum's deal, I think in 2029 or 2030, wherever it is, at some point it's going to end up at $71 million, which is like the highest in league history at this point, although I think I saw Darren Ravel say something about inflation would have got Michael Jordan's one contract at like $74 million at the time. So there's been precedent for these big deals. But the bottom line is they'll never get to that part of the deal. He'll get traded. He'll rip up a contract and do, we know that they're never getting to the back end of the contract, most likely.
Yeah, but I truly think like baseball by far has the most ridiculous contracts of all time. And I know it's a long drawn out season. They generate a lot of money and all that stuff. But like you spent $700 million. I'll say it again. You spent $700 million on Shohei Ohtani. And like, if I'm going to spend $700 million on anybody, like, number one, you got to be the MVP. Like, that's a prerequisite.
Yeah.
Got to be the MVP. But, like, how much, and I get it, man. Like, he's not pitching now, right? He's batting. But, like, how much influence can really one baseball player have? Like, you spend $700 million on a quarterback. Okay, I get it. The ball's going to always be in your hands. The offense is going to run through you. You're the leader of the team. You're the face of the franchise. All that stuff. I get that. It's hard to justify through my eyes, through my lens. And once again, nothing against Ohtani because, yeah, the guy's amazing. Obviously, he's leading the MLB in a lot of stats. But it's like, how much influence can you truly have being one baseball player in a lineup in a game?
Yeah, I think the answer is twofold here. It's not just how much can you impact my baseball team. It's how much can you impact my business.
Okay.
Right? And so I think that's what we leave out of the equation. I know from a fan perspective, we're looking how much can you impact the baseball team and are you going to win? Yeah, you're obviously a very good player. But I bring this up yesterday when I'm talking about LeBron James and Bronny. This is a business move. You want LeBron James on your team or not?
Yeah.
If his wife wanted to play in the starting lineup, you'd probably make room for her. Because you want LeBron James. I mean, he's going to sell jerseys. He's going to sell tickets. Like, what does LeBron James mean to the Lakers for a season in terms of economic impact? Probably a ton of money. Ohtani the same way, right? From a global reach. Austin, here's the deal. It is a deal for Ohtani at $700 million.
Okay, but when were the Lakers more valuable? When you had Shaq and Kobe winning championships, when you had LeBron James and his son playing for the 7th or 8th seed in the NBA playoffs? Maybe I'm blind here, but I would say it was when Shaq and Kobe.
Well, because of inflation and the way the sport has gone and everything else, they're way more valuable now, but I get your point. I don't know. Were the Celtics have been sold for $5 billion if they lost the finals? Probably. Like, did that just add to what they were?
Listen, winning the finals helps.
It's got to help.
It has to help.
Listen, listen, there's a money impact on winning.
Of course.
Right? Because more people wear your brand, front runners, right? People love a winner.
Yeah.
And also you're going to sell more season tickets and your season ticket prices go up and you can charge more and everything else, right?
Correct.
So no doubt. I get that. But I don't know how marginal that question, like that answer is. It might be more marginal than you think. And the bottom line is the Dodgers are doing something different, or the Angels did too, with Ohtani. He is a global star. We don't have a ton of those in baseball. We really don't have a ton of those in sports like that are iconic across the globe. Ohtani is one of those guys. LeBron, to me, is one of those guys. And that's why it's worth it to do whatever it takes to have him on your team, even at 39, 40 years old. And if it does fall off, it's probably still worth it, even though you don't win.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild, but man, the money is pretty fascinating in the sport. I think what we miss sometimes is the money in like tennis is fantastic. You talk about the global. I think Duval Jags just said I got to be the influence from the popularity overseas, and I said, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, NBA TV deals and there's other deals all around the globe, right? PGA Tour money has come from around the globe. Well, tennis is like that too.
But think about the NBA. You have a lot of international players as well.
Yeah,
like we view Luka one way here. But imagine like in his homeland. Imagine like how Joker's viewed in his homeland.
Yeah.
You know, like we're fans of him here, but like amplify that, to the nth degree, and like that's what they're getting overseas.
Well, and we saw this up close. Now, Ohtani's an example of this. I haven't been around from a media standpoint, but I covered the Yankees when they had like Hideki Matsui, right? They've got players that the Japanese media is here. Matsuyama in golf, they follow him around. So to your point, this is a massive story when these guys back in the homeland.
Yeah.
And there are other countries, there are smaller countries that do this in South America and with a golfer or with a player or whatever else it might be. So, I think you're right. I think that global reach changes things. Probably the one difference around the NFL still, I think that has some global reach. The popularity of the sport is reaching out and branching out. But what if they tap into that? I mean, what if it does become a global sport like the NBA, like Major League Baseball? I mean, Trevor Lawrence will be making $140 million a year.
If I'm and listen, I'm not going to wish kicker problems because this franchise has been through enough kicker problems. But if for whatever reason this year, once again, we have that curse, right? It seems like we're on a burial ground sometimes at Everbank Field until it comes to the kicker situation. But if it goes bad this year, I say Tony Khan goes to the English Premier League and goes, hey, maybe find like an old school popular name, bring him on over and make him the kicker of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Get that global reach. Well, maybe also we don't have to go to London so much anymore. Maybe now London can come to us.
Working on a direct flight. Maybe saying. That's not a bad idea. Just don't go to the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, just don't go there, man. Yikes.
Thank you. All right, one last thing about the dollars. I've said this a lot. People get bothered by the money. Like, I'll have my mom call, like, obviously not a sports fan, so be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the money there. But it's so, but I think a lot of people get that way, especially non-sports fans. I think sports fans are a little numb to it now. But people are still like, wow, that is a lot of money. Once in a while, like these contracts are like, wow, that's why I started the show like this today, because I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And these guys are now businesses. That's the thing. It's like they're not, who knows if they're smart enough to be their own business. Hopefully they have people around them smart enough to be their own business, but they are their own business. When you're talking $70 million a year, $60 million a year, like that is, nobody knows how to handle that money. I talked to Christian Kirk one time about this. Like, he had signed that big deal. And I forget how we got on here. Maybe we were talking about one of the rookies or something like that. And I said, this is not like, I don't always envy you guys. I'd love to make $17 million a year. But what do you do? How do you handle it? Like, what your mom and dad, even if you're well-grounded, and mom and dad are like handing you down advice, and they don't know how to handle that money. Like, if my kid was making $17 million a year, I wouldn't know what to tell them to do. I try to give them advice on other things, like, don't have money on your credit cards and things like that. I don't know what the hell to do with $17 million. You know what I mean? When you're own business like that. But the thing that I've always said, if it bothers you about what these guys play or make, why hasn't it ever bothered us what like actors and musicians make?
Oh, no. See, this is where I'm at with influencers. Like, once the whole influencer started making millions and millions and millions of dollars on YouTube, I'm like, I could care less what Ohtani's making. I could care less what like Mahomes and those guys. Like,
that's a good point too.
But I was that put it all in perspective.
But like when Tom Hanks is doing a big movie, right? And this was years ago when I would say this, and maybe he's making $25 million to do the movie.
Yeah,
because I think the rates were like that for guys like Cruise and Hanks and stuff like that, where you'd get mega money. It would seem like, wow, 25, 30 million to make a movie.
Yeah.
Yet when we had the ball player making 20, 25 million, everybody's like, my gosh, can't believe they'll play sports.
Yeah.
This guy's freaking acting.
But acting's not easy though either, Brent.
I'm not telling you it's easy.
But
I'm just saying, why in our psyche do we not get mad at that guy making 25 million to entertain us? But we got mad at this guy, 25 million to entertain us.
Because I feel like the guy. Okay, so you're saying why do we not question the actors, but we question the athletes?
I think we do, or did at some point.
No, and I agree with you, but I think that like the actors don't miss. Because the actors always get second takes. Like, what you see on film from the highest ups, the Tom Hankses. I'll put Tom Cruise in there, man. I still love the Mission Impossibles. I don't care. But what you get from the higher ups, it's their best at all times. Because the bad you don't see. With athletes, it's live.
That's a good
There's going to be
That's
mistakes.
a good point.
There's going to be times where it's like, we're paying you. Like, listen, when Trevor throws an interception, somebody somewhere is going to go, you're paying him how much for that? Really, because that's what we do. I'm not going to, I mean, maybe there's some movies like, I'm trying to think of like I can't think of a bad Tom Hanks movie. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
you know what I'm saying? So,
do you, so you don't get mad. Do you think people get mad at what athletes make now, or are we immune to it now?
No, I mean, I still think there's a subsection that gets mad at it. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, someone that's working a 9 to 5, busting their ass trying to feed their family, looks at the TV, and maybe sports are kind of like their time away from the stress of life.
Yeah,
and they turn on the TV and they watch their quarterback making all this money, makes a mistake. Yeah, it's frustrating. People are going to say something.
Yeah, I get it. Man, there's a lot to go into it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot going. Like I don't think we all would want. Everybody's gonna be like, yeah, right, Brent. I still don't think everybody would want Trevor Lawrence's life.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
I know that sounds preposterous.
Yeah,
but
now here it's not that bad, right? Like Jacksonville, it's a smaller town. Like if you're a quarterback in New York but no, I'm with you, man.
Yeah,
I've seen it firsthand. I've seen Blaine Gabbert.
I know. I know. I think it's a little bit. I think I have a respect for that. For those guys, because again, it's all the time. It's nonstop, and everything's being. Hopefully, I get a chance to sit down or something with Trevor. One thing I want to ask him: is it weird when everybody's talking about how much money you're making, or how much money you're worth,
or is it weird when people are talking about your kids or your baby coming?
Well, that's going to be a different story. But
what's the name of his baby going to be? Live at 10.
But you know what I mean? Like, is it? Did you ever? I mean, you weren't making that kind of money.
No,
it was easy to find out how much you were making.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that weird? And then there's the other side of me is like, sometimes I wonder why we just aren't more transparent with dollars. Like, we grow up, there's this, I guess, subconscious or whatever unwritten rule where you just don't tell people what you're making.
Yeah.
Because money obviously brings on a bunch of different things and feelings, and not everybody can be an adult about money, but we don't tell people what we're making. Like, you have no idea what I make.
For sure.
Like, and I'm not supposed to tell you what I make.
Backyard fireplace. I have a good idea of what you're bringing to the table, sir.
But we as fans know what you make.
Sure. No, that's definitely a weird dynamic. I mean, listen, whether I'll make $1 billion in my life or I'll make a minimum wage, like you're never going to tell the difference with me because I live within my means, number one, but also I feel like when you start living too comfortably, that's when you start losing your work ethic.
Yeah.
So like I always make it a habit of like, I have everything that I need. I'm comfortable. But like I'm not like, I'm still working. I'm still driving towards something. That's what I think life should be. I've told this story before. This was a long time ago on the old show, but I went out with Blaine Gabbert one night. Just one night. And it was me and a couple of other players. We went to the Jack's Beach bars. And it wasn't a money thing, obviously, because, like, we're all doing fine. But, like, to see the attention that Blaine, and he hadn't even thrown a ball yet, but to see, like, the hype and the attention that he got, like, listen, I mean, I'll talk to anybody, if you want to take a picture, let's take a picture. You want me to sign an autograph, let's sign an autograph. Like, I have no problem doing that. Now, during the Tim Tebow experience, when everyone went Tim Tebow, I was kind of sick and tired of it because I don't want to talk about Tim Tebow anymore. But that night, I was more than happy to take pictures and everything. But, like, I was doing that, but Blaine, like, he couldn't get 3 seconds just with us because he was getting pulled in every direction.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there thinking, like, man, this dude's got a new Porsche Panamera. This guy's living the life. Like, good-looking dude, getting all the way. Like, I'm just like, this guy. And then I see that, and I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I'm going to try to, roll this NFL career as long as possible, but I don't envy being the starting quarterback of a franchise. I definitely don't. And I still feel the same way. Like, I get it. We sit here, people sit at home. Man, Trevor Lawrence living the life. Yeah, I mean, it's a life. But I'm not sure it's the life that you would want, honestly.
I totally agree with that, man. Is that the night you swallowed glass?
That is the night I swallowed glass. I don't think we're going to take it there, but for those of you that
if you've been a long-time listener.
If you've been a long-time listener, you know the story. If you're a little newer and uninitiated, just we'll give you the bullet points real quick. Did a shot. It was called a lunchbox shot with Blaine Gabbert. We cheersed. I didn't see that a piece of his glass went into my glass. Chugged it. Got caught in my throat. Had to go to the emergency room. Because I had a piece of glass caught in my throat. Couldn't do anything for it. I had to. So I'm like, well, am I gonna die? I remember thinking like, I'm not like, this is like the first drink of the night. Yeah, so I'm like sober still. Like if I was like a couple shots deep, yeah, whatever, glass will be all right. No, I'm still like, I'm still in panic mode. And so then they had to like take like this big extension thing, push it down, and then I had to pass it. And thankfully, it didn't cut up anything on the way through.
Yeah, gosh. Last night you ever hung out with Blaine
that was the first and only time I hung out with Blaine Gabbert. Yeah.
It's wild. The money in sports is pretty wild. The YB400 says never let your left hand know what the right hand is doing. I get you.
I like that.
He says $17 million. I'm buying restaurants. Going to be a certified business owner. I'm not sure restaurants is the way to go,
sketchy.
Man. Let me just I don't know this.
No, the food industry is sketchy.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Hard to make it.
I think there are other ways to go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what $17 million buys you.
That'd be a good question. Like, what's like the safest investment for a business?
Yeah, not the food industry.
Not the food industry.
Not
gyms either. I feel like I feel like gyms are rough.
That's another one that can be tough. And yeah, I don't know. That's what I think about with these guys. Like, if you're making $40 million a year, or $30 million a year, or $28 million, like now, like Josh Allen, $28.5 million a year, whatever that is, and obviously there's a ton of taxes that come out. There's a ton of expenses that come out in that. Generational wealth. How do you manage that? Like I would be so fascinated, and maybe there's books and stories and shows out there on this, to just sit in with a financial advisor for one of those guys. Like, what do you do, right, with that? But what do you buy?
Yeah.
Because listen, there have been stories over the years, even here in Jacksonville, of guys in the early days buying different businesses and it not working out for them, and so everything has some risks to it, so you just go super safe. My father-in-law always said this to me, and I don't know even what the deal is right now, so this is not financial advice, but he always said, he's like, if you're LeBron James, like he would always use LeBron James because he's making like $40 million. Of course. And of course, he came from Ohio.
Yeah. He knows about it. Yeah.
He's like, and he knew, like, I guess the bonds in Ohio pay at like 4 or 5%. I think 5% or something. If you buy like a state bond, the way it works. And again, look it up. I don't know this.
Yeah, but bonds.
Like, but if they stay there.
Yeah, I got you.
So he's like, if you are LeBron, you just put like 2, 3, 4, 5 million, whatever it is, every year in those bonds.
Mm-hmm. You're good.
And like, just don't touch it. Mm-hmm. Do whatever else you want with everything else and buy your houses and businesses and everything. But like, at least you have that.
Yeah.
Sitting there at 5% or whatever it is, but that was what he said. He's not a professional financial advisor.
Yeah.
He was a superintendent of schools.
No, but dude, he knows what he's talking about, though. But once again, like, and I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but that's boring, Brent.
That is boring.
Because like
that is boring.
Listen, Michael Jordan, arguably one of the greatest athletes of all time, made all the money in the world, has all the shoe money in the world, still gambles hundreds of millions of dollars because
he's bored.
Dude's bored.
He's bored. Yeah, you're right.
So like, I don't know.
We were in Chicago on this trip, and I was watching the news, and I guess like Jordan put his mansion up for sale, like a decade ago, maybe even more. At one time, I think he had put it up for like $36 million or something. I think that was the number.
Yeah.
And I want to say the number now, like he just put it back up. This was the story. It's back on the market, and it's a deal. It was like $15 million. Like it had gone, for whatever reason, he had it at 36, and now it's like down to 15 or whatever. Can't sell it, I guess, in Chicago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's play money to those guys.
I know, but it goes to show you, though, man, like, people think, okay, if you're Michael Jordan, if you're a quarterback, you make your millions, you're happy. Like, no, like, people still want that rush. Like, Michael Jordan is happy, sure. Yeah, he's had a successful life, considered the GOAT. But, like, that dude still, like, needs the rush. He still needs to find something, and, like, gambling's his thing.
This doesn't always take money, by the way. This is a retirement conversation. A lot of people who retire, they still like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I need something to do. Mm-hmm. And then I would expect the same thing that happened with money. Mm-hmm. And I think this is really a problem for athletes sometimes. Like, what's Tom Brady supposed to do for the next 25 years, at least of his life, before retirement, to satisfy the itch?
Yeah, just do roasts, Tom.
Like, I think that's a very tough place to be. Mm-hmm. All right, one last thought on this. And I think this is very hard, and I think this is going to be interesting to watch a lot of players around the sports landscape, but specifically here locally, guys like Trevor and Josh Allen. And I am not questioning their will to be great, their will to play the game, their love of the game. But the bottom line is, at some point, when you're making this kind of money, you become what I just said, your own business. Yeah. So where is the line? What age does it happen? What dollar figure does it happen where you're like, yeah, I love playing the game, but I'm also a businessman? See, I think that changed a little bit for LeBron with the move to the Lakers. Mm-hmm. And by the way, LeBron's played fine. I'm not being critical here. I'm just saying I think human nature, if I was in that spot, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to take today off or whatever, right? Like, I got to go see how this $40 million I just invested is. Yeah, right? Like, that becomes a little bit more interesting, maybe even a little bit more important to me than being great. Like, where is that balance? Like, where does my money, business interest, everything else now take an even road with, I want to win a Super Bowl and I want to be the best player of all time? It's like, well, if I don't make it to be the best player of all time, and I'm just being honest, this is probably the way I would think. I think different than probably the 1% athlete. I know that, but I'd probably be like, listen, it's been good. Like, I've been pretty good. Like, that's good enough for me. Let's make sure we keep growing this.
See, but this is the ultimate juxtaposition of a professional athlete. We see this all the time in fighting, but it really can trickle over to any sport. You have your talent, and the goal is to maximize said talent and be the best you can be. But on the other side, you have, everything else, the money, the image, if you will. And the more that you maximize that image, the more the talent probably goes down, because now you're putting your time and effort and energy into that. I mean, we saw this with Rousey's the one that really stood out to me.
Okay, good.
Right?
Good
Rousey, example. At the time, was the most dominant female MMA athlete ever. Some would say, like, she's never going to get beat. You start doing movies and everything, you start maximizing, making a lot more money, and what happens? Well, then you don't have time to train so much, and that goes down, that diminishes. So yeah, you're a movie star. You're on the cover of Vanity Fair and all this stuff. You're in Fast and the Furious 27, whatever that movie was. But your skills are going down. And that's with any really professional athlete. Like, you have to find that balance of, all right, do you want to maximize your talent and your skill, or do you want to maximize your name and your brand? Because let's be honest, you can't do both. You simply cannot do both at the same time. You can't maximize both at the same time. So you got to pick and choose cautiously of what you want to do there.
Yeah, I think that's a real life thing. I think it would be for any of us, and even the 1% athlete who wants to be great and says you want to be great and talk yourself into be great, I still think it's a thing. Now, I'm not telling you it's a problem for Trevor right now at 24 years old, but is it a problem at some point for Patrick Mahomes, where he's owning other franchises and he's involved and pulled in different directions? Or is it a problem right now for Travis Kelce, who's attending more Taylor Swift concerts than he is in the weight room?
We'll see with Aaron Rodgers. Like Aaron Rodgers is doing. He was in Egypt. That's why he missed training camp.
And I'm not telling you that it is. These guys are built different. They really are. And
they're also people, Brent,
right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they are also people. You're right. They have also those,
kind of forget that
those flaws and weaknesses that all of us would have in those spots. Yeah. So I'm just fascinated by that. And where does your will to be great? Like, Brady did a great job at this. His will to be great. He could have got out 8 years ago and still been one of the best of all time. For me, that would have maybe been good enough. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. But I think it would have been good enough as just an average human being. Yeah. For him, it wasn't. Like, that's what makes those guys different. He didn't care about all the money and everything else. And I know everybody would say, listen, I get it. You're probably in the chat right now being like, yeah, of course, if I was that close to being great, I want to be great. Forget about the money. You know how much money that is? Like, you can do anything you want. Like, that, the will to be great, who gives a damn at that point?
So, obviously I have to go back because I'm super biased, but I think of MJ, of a guy. And then, listen, we saw The Last Dance. So, MJ was really big on not getting in political stuff, right? Even though they wanted him to be.
They did.
Because, I think that was a lot of energy that he could have wasted there. But, the dude did Space Jam. He did movies. Obviously, he had, the biggest, sneaker line of all time. So he was getting pulled in a lot of ways as well, but obviously still playing on a very high level. He goes to Washington and is what it is there. But, I'm saying with the Bulls, he was the best player in the NBA. And I think LeBron, you can kind of say the same thing a lot where... And I don't want to say, he did a couple movies and everything, and he's the household name, but... still plays at an extremely high level. Like, you think of really anybody else that maximized their name, but also was the elite of the elite at the exact same time.
It probably the guys you just mentioned. I would throw Tiger Woods in there.
Tiger, yeah,
right,
yeah.
And
but Tiger wasn't doing movies though. Once, you know what I'm saying?
No,
he was still.
That's a good point.
I mean, I feel like
he wasn't Hollywood.
He wasn't Hollywood until like the whole.
LeBron might be the best example. Like I criticized LeBron going to LA because everybody said, and we were probably doing the show when this happened, and I was like, and you said, hey, he's going to LA because he wants to do movies and stuff. I was like, I mean, we can do anything from anywhere. Why does he have to be in LA to do movies?
Can make that Space Jam too, Brent.
Career, you got another 20 years after that to do movies. To me, it didn't make sense.
Yeah,
like it didn't. And might still not, but he handled it, and he seemingly has handled it.
Won a championship.
I know he won a championship in the bubble, whatever, but he's still playing at an extremely high level. He's been able to balance it. And by the way, he's also been able to balance fatherhood. He goes to games. He flies over there. He flies over here. I mean, I guess there are just some that can't handle it. It's a very unique trait.
Very unique.
Very unique. And I think Brady showed us a unique trait. The will to be great. The money didn't matter. We'll talk about it later. He even had his own brand and all that stuff coming out. Didn't affect him. Mahomes seemingly has been able to handle buying into the Royals.
Of all guys. I mean, he's got his brother. He's got a lot of stuff.
And maybe because he's got all that stuff, playing football gets him locked in.
Yeah.
And like, gosh, get me away from all that. Right? So, it might work in an advantageous way to some degree. But I agree with you, man. I think it's hard to be great at both things. This is like, if you want a comparison, in my opinion right now, it's like if you're a two-sport star and you're a 14-year-old, you're going to have to pick one to probably be like in the travel world at. You can't play travel, volleyball, and baseball.
Yeah.
You can't do them both at the same time. Now, you might be an elite enough athlete to play travel baseball and be really good at volleyball anyway.
True. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So there's a difference there. But I think you're right. I think it's tough to manage. One more, and now you got me onto something. I think what you said about like Rousey. See, I don't blame her at all for that because in a way that's her 15 minutes of fame, right? And so she's taking advantage of that moment, especially where's your earning power, right? There's no guaranteed you're going to, for the rest of your life, make $5 million a year or whatever she was making.
And to be fair, Brent, she parlayed that, the movie roles and she became a WWE superstar. Now, it didn't really go that well, but she became a WWE superstar.
So she was able to keep building.
She kept building.
I'm going to give you the example that comes to mind in Jacksonville. And this, I'll preface this with, first of all, I think we'll get more information on this when the book comes out someday.
Okay.
Secondly, it might be a little bit unfair. And so I'm going to say, we don't know all the details, but this is my assumption of what happened here in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I like this.
Gardner Minshew. So Minshew, in my opinion, he's a guy that's like not even supposed to play quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
So he gets his like 15 minutes of fame in a way, right? He gets his, and he's taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
He's doing some things. He's doing the ESPN stuff. He's doing this. He's doing that. Well, my belief, again, this is a belief. This isn't a known, but my belief is folks like Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone, they're old school football people. They don't like that. You're a quarterback.
Yeah.
You're the CEO of our organization.
It's a double standard.
You are spending time running around in an RV and doing all this other stuff and creating headlines, and that's good for you, but that's not good for us.
Sure.
Right? And that, whether it was or wasn't, I believe that was their belief.
Okay.
And I think that might have played into the fact in some degree that he never got back in the lineup. Now, you could say they were tanking for Trevor or anything else, but there's no way the hand was hurt the entire way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why are you still playing Jake Luton against Green Bay?
I know.
Now, by that time, you could say, well, they're getting close to the Trevor pick. Yeah. Right? But
James, is the hamstring all right? Nope. James, you're out. Come on, James Robinson. No, I feel you.
It's a fascinating story to be told at some point about that year, in my opinion, but specifically about Gardner, because I don't blame the young man for going to capitalize on his image that all of a sudden he had earned this opportunity because I know we dealt with some of his marketing people, and I don't even know if he's still surrounded by the same marketing people, and they were strategic. They know
what they were doing.
They were like, hey, we're going to do this much now, but we're also going to save this other stuff in case it gets even bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like paraphrasing, but there was a plan here. And by the way, that's okay. Like, how many chances do you get to earn that kind of money or that kind of stardom? This was his opportunity. Now, he's also parlayed that into other opportunities, but we never knew that would come down the road. We never knew the Las Vegas Raiders would come down the road for $25 million or whatever he's getting now.
No, so I mean, that's almost justified. But like, I always say this: like, does the talent justify the means? I mean, you had a guy who came in as a backup, probably should have been a backup, got thrust into an interesting situation and maximized that. And then he maximized, obviously, the hype around that. And I get all that, but I do get what you're saying, where I'm sure NFL teams were probably a little, well, I'm not NFL teams, but, the people here were just like, man, you're doing too much, Gardner. You're doing too much. I mean, heck, I gave Trevor Lawrence stuff for just going on Twitter and with the notes and everything. So yeah, I'm sure they felt a certain type of way in that locker room. But look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers. That dude is chocked full of distractions. And we're talking political. I mean, it's one thing to all right, if you're doing movies and you get a mustache, you're doing Uncle Rico, or you're traveling the RV. It's another thing you want to start bringing politics into the situation. But it's Aaron Rodgers. And we'll see what he's got left in the tank, but right now I think the Jets fans are feeling, and the Jets organization feels like, hey, the talent will justify the means. Yeah. So we're going to put up with it as much as possible.
Might expand a little bit more on that, because I might give you another example, but we got to get the whole break here. Let's take a break. The first one, Brent Austen Show. We're also, major disappointment out of the U.S. men's national team, and I don't know if that's ever going to get fixed, but they might have one. You don't look at something and be like, hey, this is your chance.
Yeah.
In a couple years, this is their chance. Is it their only chance? I don't know. That's probably crazy to say. But it's the chance to change the narrative about the U.S. men's national team. I'm not a soccer guy, but I think this is pretty fascinating to watch what's about to take place over the next few years when it comes to men's soccer. We'll continue to talk a little bit about that and some football, of course.
Well, in the chat, we got nothing but rock movies right now. What's the best rock movie? I mean, you guys, it's Moana, enough said. It's not even close. Not even close, you guys.
We'll throw that out there in the break. We take one. Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one-card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One-card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Oh, man, it is that time. I love being outside, but it is just so hot. Oh, my gosh, I cannot be outside. Well, it doesn't have to be. As a matter of fact, I've got the perfect solution for you to be able to stay outdoors and not look like this guy.
GW Outdoor Solutions has the solution that will help you create areas of shade with their automated retractable awning. As the summer months inch closer, the high temperatures will be right there too. With GW Outdoor Solutions, go from scorching to cooling in no time with one simple push of a button. These innovative shade solutions not only provide protection from the sun and rain, but also add style and functionality to your home. Let GW Outdoor Solutions transform your backyard into paradise. Check out gwoutdoorliving.com for your free estimate.
Summertime means sizzling sales at Nimnick Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Nimnick never charges above MSRP. You can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnick Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave. So feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnickBuickGMC.com. And while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnick is there for you, even on Sundays. Visit the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
It's hard to put a price on comfort, especially when you use that comfort on a daily basis. But if we're going to put a price on it, how does the lowest price guaranteed sound? Furniture Source is going to have the biggest brands, whether it's Ashley, Casper, or Tempur-Pedic, and once again, it's going to be the guaranteed lowest price in Jacksonville. Right now, my friends at Furniture Source are going to give you the ultimate hookup because all month long, they're making their inventory wholesale price. Check out their markdowns up to 50% off. And remember, since it's Furniture Source, you're getting the guaranteed lowest prices in Florida or your money back. Don't have the cash on you right now? It's no worry. Shop endless options to suit your style and budget and enjoy 36 months off with no interest financing. Why use your money when you can use theirs? Whether it's beds, couches, tables, or chairs, Furniture Source is going to have exactly what you're looking for. Shop the lowest prices in Jacksonville guaranteed. Find the location nearest you at FurnitureSourceJacks.com.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. BoldCityAC.com. And they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, welcome back here to the Action Sports Jax 24/7 studios. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane. Rob in the kids' corner today. Bleak Bills.
Bleak Bills, how we doing, man? How's the summer break for you? You probably didn't really have a break, did you?
Foot's getting better.
Foot's getting better.
Yeah, you said you're kind
of the boot on today.
Oh, you don't have the boot on today.
No.
So you say you were right. You're kind of in and out of it. And yesterday you were in it. Today you're out of it.
I'm out. It's still pretty swollen, but I can walk around pretty well.
And have you been back in the golf cart since, or is there like a sense of PTSD?
No, the golf cart's fully repaired now.
Nice.
Back in it.
Back in it.
Back in it.
Back in it. He goes.
He's not afraid of anything. He is not afraid. Good to have Rob along here on a Tuesday and July 4th week. Hope you're doing well. It's funny, these quiet couple of weeks in the sports world. Really get the All-Star game coming up in just a little bit. That's usually like a really quiet few days in the sports where the NFL is somewhat dormant right now. It's really the only time it's dormant. I mean, Jags obviously had some huge stories for us last week and in the month of June, but now you're not getting those kind of stories on an everyday basis, probably for the next couple of weeks. The next thing coming down the road, which I want to ask you about in a little bit, is the contracts. I thought there'd be a little bit of a domino effect here with Trevor Lawrence and maybe would speed things up for the Tuas of the world, the Jordan Loves of the world, maybe even the Daks of the world. Not so far. In fact, there hasn't even been a lot of rumors, but that might be more the break than anything else, and you still have a couple of weeks until training camp, and they can use that as leverage. Let's just finish up the conversation. We talked, if you're just jumping in, we talked a little bit about, we're talking a lot about salaries in sports. The NBA kind of got me going on it, but we landed in a spot where you brought up like Ronda Rousey and almost taking advantage of that 15 minutes of fame because you didn't know where it was going to go, and then you get a little sidetracked maybe on your sport because you're managing your image and marketing and everything else. And we're not really being critical of it. It's just a reality. It's hard to do both. Very few have done both. We pointed to LeBron, who's actually been pretty good at both.
And when I say both, I mean like balancing obviously maximizing your brand, but also being the best player at your craft.
Still living up to it. And all these years later, he's living up to it.
Yeah, he's up there still.
And this guy started shows. And again, he's got...
Dude's got his hand in a lot of different jars.
Yeah, and his kids are at a time where it's not like, hey, they're just 7 and 8 years old. Like, they're making like life decisions and impactful decisions. And obviously now his kid's going to play. So even the role changes there. I can tell you that. Just kind of live through that part, right? In a different way. So I brought up Gardner Minshew because I think that was an interesting time in Jacksonville where he was getting a lot of love and attention and had this thing going, the Minshew mania. It wasn't just in Jacksonville, it was around the country, really. When people were talking about the NFL, he was on Countdown to Kickoff and ESPN shows and NFL Network shows. Everybody wanted a piece of Gardner for a minute. I'm not sure that was well received inside the organization. And I don't know. That's my look at it, right? That's my view of it, especially when you have old school hardcore guys in the building like Tom Coughlin, Doug Marrone. I think the same can be said about a guy like Tebow. Tebow is less about it actually happening and more about the fear of it happening. I think that's why people shied away. Maybe here in Jacksonville when it was the conversation we had yesterday about Gene Smith and company. Well, that's an old school guy now. Right?
Yeah.
The Jets may be thinking, hey, we can use him here or there. And the story with the Jets is they lied to him anyway. They said they were going to use him in X spot, Y spot, and they really didn't. They used him on special teams. But I don't know if people know how to handle that all the time. NFL people, sports people, executives, old school folks, are we more in tune with that player, that type of player now that we're willing to do it from a brand perspective, from a business standpoint? Or will that always be the case where that's a dangerous deal because of what we just talked about? It is hard to be really good playing if you're also trying to be really good marketing.
No, I think that it goes back to my original point here. Does the talent justify the means? I think when you talk about Tim Tebow, and like, listen, this is why it's kind of a crappy thing when we talk about Tim Tebow because, like, I don't know if he's really trying to optimize his brand. He was a guy who, was super religious and spoke on the faith, and like, more power to you for doing that, but like, for whatever reason, the media took that and ran with it, and then that became a social media thing, and like, it was a mountain of just, polarization because nobody felt in the middle on Tim Tebow. Either like you celebrated him, you loved him, you wanted to come to your family dinner, or you were so sick and tired of seeing Tim Tebow slam down everybody's throats. Like there was no in between. Like that's the ultimate form of polarization. So like that's what Tim Tebow was, and he never asked for any of it. It's just the way the outside perceived him. So when you talk about that, yeah, he didn't have the skill set to justify that, unfortunately. And once again, not his fault that that's how we all took Tim Tebow in the media, but that's the way that it was. Antonio Brown burns every single bridge in Pittsburgh. John Gruden goes, you know what? He's a great receiver. Let's bring him to Oakland. Burns that bridge with a faulty, I was going to say and his feet, on a faulty cryotherapy session. And then is seen celebrating that he gets cut from the Raiders, and he's outside celebrating this. And what does Bill Belichick do? Of all the teams, of like, we got to do things a certain way, we're old school way of thinking, they bring him in. Why? Because at that moment, the talent outweighed, the means. It justified it. So to answer your question, Brent, I think as long as you're a star player, as long as you have that star potential, teams will learn to tolerate you. If you don't have that star potential, if you can't bring teams championships or at least help bring teams championships, they're not going to bring you in.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what you said about Tebow because Tebow, and let's just say in this example, and very loosely comparing all this, but I'm just going to put them in buckets. The Minshew conversation we just had kind of goes along with maybe the Rousey conversation that we just had. The Tebow one is separate because, like you just said, this was not him trying to necessarily optimize. This was like something that just blew up organically, right? And maybe you just don't know how to manage that. Like, how do you manage that and play? Like, how do you not walk out of your house or into a restaurant without mobs of people and still be focused on everything? But the thing about Tebow is there's many people believe he just couldn't play at the NFL level to that degree anyway, right? So then there's that aspect. So it's a unique story in itself. But let's just say he could. Let's just say he was as talented as Aaron Rodgers or Trevor Lawrence. Would have been very difficult, man. Like, very, very difficult.
To bring him on a team?
To manage both.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it would have been
even
a lot.
As well. Again, I mean, Tebow, great guy, but to manage this and what that was, which was like the Beatles, by the way, is how it's described to me. And then this, in terms of, I'm going to go win Super Bowls and be one of the great players of all time. If again he was that talented, would have been a very difficult thing to do. That's what's so impressive about LeBron.
But here's the thing, Brent. I think it would have been difficult for him, but at the same time, it's not difficult to be yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Like once again, I get he's into like different organizations and things like philanthropy and all that, but like if he would have been the starting quarterback of a franchise, and let's say that he had, the top 5 elite ability, I mean, I think a guy that is so ingrained of who he is, I think that can be a benefit. And I'm not sure if that would have been too much. Now, once again, from the outside world, it might have been. Yeah, right? Yeah, like how we perceived it, how the media perceived it, it might have been a lot for a team, a coach, his teammates. But I'm not sure if it would have been enough for Tim Tebow, because I think when you know who you are, and then you're not trying to go out of your way to do something that you're not trying to be, that gives you an advantage.
Did you knock me into a fog?
What? Oh.
I think so.
Yeah, Brent got a little blurry.
Yeah. Did you hit the table too hard?
I didn't even hit the table.
Yeah, you did.
Talking about, maybe that's the power of Tim Tebow.
I didn't say anything bad.
No, we're talking, maybe
I'm back.
Maybe this conversation is elevating now, man. It's the power of Tim Tebow.
Focus went wonky.
Hey, I would say, when you're asking, this is why I think childhood stars don't do well. Because you just said, like, hey, Tebow would be like who he is, and he's done a good job of, I think, maintaining who he is. I'm not around Tebow all the time, but I got to believe he is. There's no way, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, Taylor Swift is who she was 10 years ago. You don't even know who you are anymore with that kind of fame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, do you even know who you are? Like, I wouldn't even know where's your center compass on that? I have no idea. Like, I'm not even sure Travis Kelce, thrown in the mix of this due to a relationship, knows where he is right now, but he's just enjoying it.
Yeah.
At 34 years old, you don't need to figure that out or whatever, right? You just go live. But
yeah, I mean, me and my best friend AP, who was with me in Kansas City when we drank off Travis Kelce's tab, we have this conversation all the time. And we always say, can you believe that guy that we shared the VIP with, that we're doing shots with and everything, ended up becoming like one of the biggest players in the world and is dating Taylor Swift? And like I go back, but you have no idea how much.
No is the answer.
But like listen, about like, because you know me, I always look to the future, so I don't reflect on my football career a lot right now. One day when I have grandkids, I'm on the porch and my back gives out 25 times a day. Then I'll sit down and I'll recollect and tell all the great stories of me playing, and I'll think about that. But when I go back to more than anything, it's not second Drew Brees or Andrew Luck swearing at me. It's literally like sharing the booth with this guy who I thought wasn't going to last 2 years in the NFL, who was just like the ultimate bro, turned into one of the biggest stars of all time. It's so baffling to me. Yeah. I can't put it into words sometimes.
Yeah, you've told us the stories over the years. It is pretty interesting. It's the equivalent of like the kid you went to high school with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden being like, that dude is... dating her or doing this or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the feeling you have around Kelce.
It is. Happy for him. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, good for him. Yeah, good for him. That's wild.
It's wild.
All right, let's take another time out there. We're a little bit behind. We'll come back at 11 o'clock hour. Still to come. I got a question out there today, and I'll tell you why I thought of this. Was there a move made this offseason that makes someone a contender to a Super Bowl champ? Like, we look back on it and be like, that's the move. Right? You could say, if you go in hindsight, the Rams last year getting Puka Nacua, right, made them into a playoff team. Now, they were a no team. We thought they'd win 3 games. You could make the case Houston, who we thought would win 3, 4, 5 games, whatever it might be. Stroud, really changed and made them a player. But I'm talking a team that's contending because there are a lot of them now that think they're contending. Is there a player that changes them to the point where, like, we're going to look back in February and be like, that's the guy that led them to the Super Bowl, and that's the why they're going to the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl? That's a conversation when we come back here on the Brent Austen Show on a Tuesday. We all have our favorite spots in town to eat, drink, and have a good time. And once in a while, we try a new spot. This new spot will soon become your favorite spot. It's 1937 Spirits and Eatery in San Marco. Where else can you get unicorn fish? It was really good. They have local fresh seafood. Try a terrific burger or a Jack's Hot Chicken sandwich. The ambiance is perfect for any occasion. The idea here is to have fun, have a good time. Whether you're chilling out on the couches, cozying up to the bar, having lunch or dinner, it's a throwback experience. 1937, when going out to dinner was like going to a party. They even have a photo booth. Who doesn't like a good photo booth? We recently brought the entire team out to try it, and everyone said, I'm bringing my significant other here to try it as well. The new spot becomes your favorite spot. Make 1937 Spirits and Eatery in San Marco your new favorite spot.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting, well, better. That's Better Exterior Solutions, ready to help you create a better outdoor experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater or something a bit more intricate. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jack's Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jack's Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to String Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to String Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops, beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, there's a look at Everbank Stadium, and obviously a huge topic over the last, couple of years now, a couple of months and a couple of weeks, and really few days. So we got it all with Everbank, and they're getting their money's worth. There's a lot of mentions of that stadium.
Yeah, for sure.
In the news cycle. That'll be interesting to see how things change. It's wild about the dynamic of the stadium, and this may be a little inside football from a Jags perspective, is in the meantime, or, let's just say like a deal that they have with somebody like Everbank, naming rights. How does that change with a new stadium? Does it go up? Is it a lot different? What happens in the meantime of deals like that? And every deal's different. But what happens with deals in 2027 when they're not in Jacksonville? So there's a lot of economic impact to the football team and to brands that are going to be just kind of a wild couple of years until that thing opens up.
Yeah.
And what it looks like. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Jags, knowing this, probably catered a lot of their deals or worked a lot of their deals to somewhat expire, or maybe they worked out something else to hold over 27, but probably expire in 26 and then re-up again in 28. Mm-hmm. But that's just a little bit of you wonder how many little things like that with this stadium deal that we don't really think about.
Yes.
That impact inside the organization, all those small little details, they always fascinate me to a degree. And will it be Everbank Stadium in 2028?
Yeah, obviously, I think the price is going to go up now, so you're going to have to, bring your checkbook and everything.
Yeah, Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Rob's in the kids' corner. Bleak Bills, we call him. He's getting healthy, which we like that. Here on a Tuesday, presented by Furniture Source here on this Tuesday. They got some big 4th of July specials going on. The Avenues Mall, Blanding Boulevard as well at Furniture Source. Austin will tell you a little bit more about those coming up throughout the show. Real quick, we're not going to spend a ton of time on it. U.S. men's national team.
Yeah.
Do you watch it? Did you lock into the soccer?
Yeah, I watched it.
Good night for it. Wasn't a lot else going on.
It helps when you have to do a show with Casey for a week. He kind of schools you in a little bit because Casey's a big, soccer dude. But I did watch it, and obviously I was disappointed.
What's the take on, we say it's almost cliche now. Hey, I can't believe the United States isn't good enough in soccer. We're good at everything, or we think we're good at everything. It's one of the worst men's sports that we have. That's the bottom line in terms of what they've been able to accomplish in the history and everything else, and the disappointment that they seem to bring. They're like the New York Knicks. It's constant disappointment for decades and decades. They're losing to Uruguay and Panama. It's just, to me, that's the eye-popping part of this. And those are countries that really celebrate soccer and have been playing soccer for a long time, probably are better at soccer than one would think. Mm-hmm. But at face value, it's like the United States is losing to Uruguay?
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm so sick and tired, too, because obviously I went on Twitter after it and saw the reaction, and I'm so sick and tired of people saying, well, you got how much of the population's in the U.S., so how come you can't? Or because we got all the best athletes in the U.S., how come the U.S. can't? I don't care about – here's what I think. I think the U.S., in terms of resources, you have everything that you need. I think in terms of money, everything that you need. Okay? You have the luxury a lot of countries don't have in terms of soccer, and you can't even play up to their standards. So what I think it comes down to is, obviously, I think number one can be coaching. Number two can be the quality of players. But I think it starts from, the base. I think it stems from the foundation, and that's, the entire committee. I think that there has to be kind of a whole tear it down and build it back up again in terms of how you're building up the soccer, in terms of youth in this country. Because, I get it. Fan support, maybe not the best fan support like other countries. But once again, you still have all the money and you have all the resources. So why can't you produce a better product? If it's any business, I'm starting with the CEO and I'm working my way down.
Yeah, and obviously the coach getting a ton of criticism. I can't imagine he survives this.
It would be hard to justify.
But
his players love him.
I actually watch a lot of the post game. Alexi Lalas, I mean, he's
very outspoken. Did he kill him?
Yeah, he's killed him. But it's like, what's next? What's the solution? Like, I don't know. I mean, if you fire somebody from the Jags, you fire Doug Peterson, you're like, okay, we're going to go get Belichick.
Yeah.
What do you go? I don't know. I mean, they're talking about guys from Liverpool, and I just don't know the landscape that well, and I'm not afraid to admit that because I'm not going to talk about something I don't have a lot of knowledge of. But I do think a lot of people consume men's soccer in our country like me. and
World Cup every 4 years. We'll watch that. Yeah,
it's still somewhat an embarrassing deal when you have the United States flag on there and can't figure out a way to win and find answers. And there's been a lot of attention on it. They think this is like the golden generation of soccer players. Like, these guys are good and good enough. Well, what's missing? You know what else is wild about it? And here's the deal. This is why I think it's a big topic. We've seen soccer grow in the States. We're seeing it grow in Jacksonville. Like, that's a great thing. That's awesome. Like, we know the history. We've talked all about this stuff. Like, it's a bigger deal around the rest of the country than it has been in the United States. Great. You do have resources. You do have talent. You have
money.
You have money. You have all these things to be able to get better at it. Are we better? Probably, overall. Yeah. But why can't we still win at the highest of levels? And I think we have, like, this might be very narrow-sighted, but we have one chance coming up. We're going to host the World Cup. And, like, by the way, they say there's no, like, crazy competition outside of this Copa America until 2026 when that cycle for the World Cup starts, which also is fascinating. Like, we can't tell if we're any good for another 2 years? Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? That's why we don't get this sport sometimes. Like, that is just astonishing to me. We're going to go into 2026 and that run toward the World Cup and be like, well, we think we're good?
We'll see.
We have not. And in that respect, did it matter if we did well in the Copa America or not?
True.
At least we lessened expectations. But
yeah.
But again, I understand there are a lot of diehards, by the way, and probably pissing you off with some of this commentary. I just do think, like, is this the opportunity? I mean, if they don't do something here, is men's soccer just a periphery sport in America for a long, long time to come until you get your next opportunity, which might not be for a long, long time?
I mean, the way that it feels right now, it's like, yeah, it's a great opportunity, but can they maximize it? Probably not. Like, the way, and once again, I'm a super casual. Like, I'll start following along when the World Cup's getting ready to happen, then I'll look and do, like, my deep dives on the players and everything. I think the thought the past decade, 2 decades was, okay, you're slowly going to build this thing up and make it better and better and better. And by the time the World Cup comes to the U.S., we'll be competing with the best countries in the world. And you're not to that point yet. So something happened along the way where you were trying to build it and build it and build it, and you're not seeing the results that you want. So, like, once again, sure, you can go and say we need more players, but then where else are you going to find them? Like, I think you have the best players you can have right now in the U.S. So then you go to coaching. All right, well, are you getting the best out of your players? Well, probably not. So then maybe that should be a coaching change. But once again, like, and then you saw, like, yeah, they're going to be play calling, they're going to be strategy and all this stuff, but, like, it's just, you saw Uruguay just play better. Like, they're better.
Yeah.
They're better players. So then if that's the fact, and once again, I don't think Uruguay's a giant powerhouse in terms of World Cup. Like, no one's talking about them going to win the whole thing. So then if that's the case, then once again, you got to start from the very top of this whole organization in the U.S. and think about how you develop the talent, how you develop the youth and bring people up. Because right now, what we've seen, it's not working.
Yeah, listen, soccer's grown. That means you got more talent. You got better players. I think the players, what I was listening to, and I find this fascinating about the sport, they knew going in that they were only going to have like 2 chances to score. Again, Uruguay plays really good defense, right? So you're only going to have like 2 chances to score, 2 really good chances. Okay, can you imagine in hockey, which is obviously another low-scoring sport, where you say, hey, listen, This is a huge game.
Yeah.
We got to win, most likely, by a goal.
Yeah.
And we are only going to get 2 shots, most likely, that are really good looks on this goalie. And one or both of them have to go in.
Yeah. No, I mean, that some would say that was from the mid-'90s of the New Jersey Devils. Like, that was their style of play. And, like, they changed a lot of the rule set based off of how the Devils played. Now the Devils won the Stanley Cup. So it worked, but back in that time it was like some of the most boring hockey you could ever watch.
So I would say from that standpoint, I'm listening to that, right? Again, very novice Brent soccer fan. Everybody's going crazy about how bad the United States is and they're disappointing again and what else is new. And I'm like, man, what a bad matchup. Like, I mean, in a game that you have to win, you go to play the team that just clamps it down in the back end and doesn't let you get a good shot off.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you supposed to do in that sport? Like, if you do that well, it doesn't give you many opportunities to score. I mean, they really needed who they need? They needed like Bolivia, I think, to beat Panama. That was probably their best way to get in.
Yep. But then again, I mean, you go back to the last game though too, when they played Panama and there was the red card, and like that. I mean.
Oh, the refs, by the way, yesterday crushed the United States. I mean, but it was not.
But
helpful.
I'm saying that the game against Panama, one, I forgot who the player even was, but ended up pushing a player, got thrown out of the game.
Yeah,
man down the whole time. Like, you can't do that either. Like, that probably cost you the tournament right there. So
I wonder if soccer fans feel this way, like diehard soccer fans about the U.S. But I'm watching their interviews, and they weren't bad. But I couldn't help think of. Like, I'm waiting for someone to go off. Because I feel almost the frustration level of Lawless and all those guys who are so close to it. And then, obviously, Twitter and everyone else who's so disappointed in it. And then you're like, there was a soundbite somewhere in there from, I mean, you could sense the disappointment, no doubt. But there was a soundbite like, hey, it's been a long season. We got to refresh, and we got to, build back up and go figure out what we did wrong. And it's like, that ain't it. Like, I was saying, like, that ain't it. That's not what all these people want to hear.
No, I agree with you. It's almost like soccer's like golf, where it's like you have to be like genuinely, you got to be like, professional. Like, there's like football, and like you. I'm trying to think of an example of like where a team didn't reach expectations, but like, you're gonna have one player at least say something in the locker room, be like, "Yeah, we suck, and this is BS. Like, we shouldn't be doing this." Like, every sport's gonna have that, but for whatever reason, I feel like golf. Well, most golfers, because every golf's their own individual, but like golf and soccer, it's like, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, maybe some of that's a gentleman's part of the game. I don't know, soccer like that too. I'm just telling you from, again, I don't dive into this all the time. I want to keep telling you that. Watching it all unfold, the disappointment, where it's been, knowing a little bit about the history, where it's going, everybody wants to coach out, and sitting there and listening to these answers, like, we're going to try to figure it out. We're going to try to figure it. We're not as far away. The coach is now like, we're not as far away as it looks. It was very disappointing. I get where he's coming from because he's trying to save his job.
Yeah, you have to keep it together in the locker room.
But I'm waiting for somebody on that.
Would it make you feel better?
Like, you probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, the same rhetoric, but what are you guys doing? You're not winning.
And in fairness, I put myself actually in Jags fans' spot here when I was thinking about that, because I get Jags fans often have said that to us over the years. We want somebody to throw a freaking clipboard, right? Or we want somebody to just drop an F-bomb in a press conference.
Flip the ping pong table, let's go.
You want that as a fan. I get that. And we understand that. They're not going to most of the time. They got to stay even keel and up and down and all this stuff. But I did think this was a moment, based on the reaction of the folks on set and the reaction of everybody else around what seemingly is the world, but really the U.S. when it comes to soccer, this would have been a good time for somebody to be like the Tebow promise.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this ain't happening again. And hey, I will say this now, but this is not, I don't think I'm being hypocritical here when I compare it to the Jags. Still my number. I thought the Jags had a very nice offseason overall. But I will maintain that my biggest criticism to them is that they didn't come out 2 or 3 days after the season and say, this will not happen again.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
This will not happen again. That was a big, I don't want to forget that.
Yeah.
Because we kind of got that a little bit from Shad the other day.
Mm-hmm.
That was 6 months later.
Yeah.
Right? We never got it from Balky until 3-4 weeks later. We never got it from Balky and Doug in the same setting. We never really got it from Doug, So we never got it.
I mean, we never got it from Caldwell, the defensive coordinator, right?
No, he didn't have a chance to speak. And,
I guess.
And again, I don't think I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth here when I say I think sometimes fans need to hear that. And I think this was an opportunity that I think fans, and maybe I didn't see all the interviews. Maybe there was somebody else like on a less national TV interview that did this for men's soccer. But I thought the Jags missed the boat in doing this a couple of days after the season this past year after the collapse. Like there are opportunities for organizations and for teams and heck, businesses probably to come out and own it and really kind of almost gather the troops, right? And kind of bring everybody together. I don't think the U.S. men's team did that last night.
Yeah, and they probably should have. I mean, when the Bengals put up almost 500 yards of offense and Jake Browning has like 5 incompletions, probably want to say we're not going to let a backup quarterback and it was his second start ever come in and do that again in our house. But
yeah, so it's interesting. All right, I will get to my thought about one player that can make a contender into a Super Bowl team. But let's take a timeout. When we come back, we'll do that. I've got somebody in mind. I want to know if Austin's got somebody in mind.
I have somebody in mind.
And who that could be, would be, should be. It's coming up next here on the Brent Austen Show on a Tuesday. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot, any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
People helping people is at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Jacks and Alive Credit Union, a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
The Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network is streaming. I'm Stuart Weber, and I'm here to teach you a nice 3-step process on how you can watch all your favorite programming from the Brent Austen Show every weekday 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or the Cup Date with me. It's fantastic. We talk NASCAR. It's a great time. Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. All right, first step, easy. Download the Action News Jacks app. You probably already have it downloaded on your phone, so you might already have that one taken care of. Step 2, see that stack of pancakes up there? You click that stack of pancakes, and it's going to bring down step number 3, which is a full screen of all the different streams that you can click on, including the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 stream. You click that, the video's rocking and rolling on your mobile device, you're watching all the shows you want to, and you're having a good time. You can also do it on your smart TV with the Action News Jacks Now app. I do it on my Samsung TV at home. It's a great way to watch it on a nice, large screen for all the content. That's the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Hope you can find it.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one-card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One-card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
One player that was added to a team that's a contender, by the way. So I'm not talking about the Tennessee Titans, for example, or the Patriots.
Can't really put them over the top.
Yeah, so there are a bunch of teams in the AFC, though, that are contenders. And then there are probably other teams that think they're contenders, whatever it is. But is there a player that stands out? It's like, wow, that addition I can see landing in New Orleans in February.
Yeah. So to me, I mean, you can go a couple directions here. Like, obviously, I think Kirk Cousins. I mean, Hamby would probably say Kirk Cousins, right?
We'll leave that up to Hamby.
We'll leave it up to Hamby. I'll let him speak for himself. But to me,
Michael Penix Jr.
To me, there's a few players in this league that you can bring in, and they immediately change your identity of your team. Now, it's one thing if you change your identity. It's another thing if you bring said player in and you elevate that identity. And that's why I'm going with Derrick Henry to the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, we're on the same page with this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not. I mean, you go Saquon maybe to Philly, but no. To me, it's like almost like a match made in heaven.
It really feels that way, right? Mm-hmm. It really fits. Listen now, I think there are a lot of different ways to go here. I think you said Kirk Cousins. That's certainly they're a talented team.
Sure.
Very talented offense.
Diggs,
this guy's been good.
Maybe to Houston. I mean, does that make a difference?
Maybe. Some people think that really will. I think you brought up Saquon Barkley. If he stays healthy, add that to a roster that has been one of the deepest in the NFL the last couple of years. Jalen Hurts, an MVP candidate. You got two of those. I mean, how good are they on offense?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I certainly feel like it's a fair conversation if you want to say Saquon Barkley. I think you could say Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Listen, they haven't had a quarterback and they still win 8-9 games every year.
No, for sure. I mean, I think even like Hollywood Brown, a guy that's been slept on a lot the past couple of years, but you put him on the Chiefs now with Patrick Mahomes, and you can elevate that guy to new levels.
But I can't get past that one either. Now, Derek he's obviously a local guy. He's in town this week. He's running the camp up in Yulee, which is great to see him come back. I do question, love the career of Derrick Henry, so I say this with all due respect. I think it's reasonable now. This isn't a conversation like back when he was at Alabama, can he play in the NFL? Or back when he was at Yulee, can he make it as a running back at Alabama? I think this is an athlete thing. When you get up to 29 years old and to that late age, late 20s, early 30s, at a running back position, that becomes a question mark. And he did not have an unbelievable year last year.
No, I mean, it was the lowest numbers by far in his career.
And now
still killed the Jaguars.
Still had the best game against the Jaguars.
Still had a great game against your Jacksonville Jaguars, but that's kind of tradition, isn't it?
But he doesn't have. He could have the same numbers this year in Baltimore, and they would take it.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to run for 2,000 yards in Baltimore.
So here's how I feel about it. And I've said this many times on the old show. I'll never count Derrick Henry out in terms of like his production, in terms of maybe getting banged up a little bit, because that was the MO in college. Scouts were saying this guy ran the ball way too much in college. He's never going to last in the NFL because we all have the preconceived notions of if you're running back in the NFL, you maybe got 3 or 4 good years, and then the tread starts to wear off a little bit, and then it is what it is, right? Henry's the outlier here. And I look at an offensive line, I think one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, but also I look at any running back they've had back there in Baltimore has been successful. Now, injuries have been a thing. Right, but any running back that's been Justice Hill, the Gus Bus, Gus Edwards. I forgot the guy that got hurt that tore his whole knee up. The fast dude. I can't remember his name, but it was literally just a revolving door of running backs, and whoever it was doing their thing. Now you put a reliable guy back there with Derrick Henry, who all indications. In his he's been in the NFL now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, going to his 10th season, has only played 1 year where he didn't play an entire year. Like, what I'm saying, he's been out, and that was back in 2021. Every other season, he's played in essentially every game. Now, the last, 16, I'm sorry. So I got these numbers all mixed up, but needless to say, I think it's going to be a big beneficial get for the Baltimore Ravens because they're a tough physical team. Yeah, Derrick Henry is a tough physical running back.
Seems like a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Again, he's got to still deliver. You got to play at a high level. You can't just. You can't just be Derrick Henry and assume that he's going to do everything that he did. But it does fit identity. It is a perfect fit. If he had gone to the Steelers, it would have felt like a good fit. But I'm not sure there's a better fit than Baltimore. In terms of what they do and how they do it and how they can be dynamic too. Because they can be dynamic. Them in Philadelphia to me are built similar and they're tough. They feel like they're tough, but they're not 3 yards in a cloud of dust tough. Only. They're also very dynamic and explosive while being tough. That's a tough thing to be able to do, too, is to do both. And those two can now do it. So it already did do it, but I think that's just amplified. So if he's got one more, really good year in him, then look out. If he's even got last year in him, I think he's going to add a whole lot to the Baltimore Ravens.
And what's wild, too, Brent, is the fact that, do you think Buffalo's going to be good? I think they're going to decline. But, take the top teams in the AFC right now. So take the Baltimore Ravens, obviously take the Kansas City Chiefs. You could put the Houston Texans, but what I'm saying is who's going to have the home field advantage, right? Maybe Cleveland could be a dark horse. Maybe Pittsburgh could be a dark horse. It's
tough division.
It's tough division. Miami, I think it's going to regress. Maybe New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers. But my point is that more than likely the road to the Super Bowl, the road to New Orleans, will be played outside in the cold.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And when you have the cold and you have a run game, you have Derrick, give me Derrick Henry all day over anybody. I don't care the age, even Christian McCaffrey. It's like you play in that cold weather game where there's snow on the ground and it's, freezing temperatures. Give me Derrick Henry all day.
Yeah, he don't want that. McCaffrey doesn't. So, I think it's pretty wild. And hey, you know what? I say this. I'm really interested to see Times Union, Gene Fredette and Clayton Freeman. I think they're putting a list together, top 100 athletes from Jacksonville, and they started that this past week. It's going to be an interesting read, especially if you're not from here. Some of the names I already didn't even recognize. You go way back. They're doing a nice job with the list, and that's a lot of work. But I thought about this today. I'm like, I wonder where he comes in on the list from Jacksonville, because I've said, Bob Hayes is going to be number 1 on the list because he is. I don't know how he's not.
Yeah.
And then you got the Tebows of the world and the Derrick Henrys of the world that I think people think about now in the sport of football. But Derrick, this career is probably not talked enough about just how good it is and the resume and what it's. He has made such an impact. He was the national rushing record holder in high school. He won a Heisman at Alabama. And what he has done in the NFL career is remarkable. So I feel like at times it's somewhat of a quiet resume that people forget about, even though we're living it still. And maybe that's why. Maybe we just haven't looked back on it yet enough because he's still doing it and still accomplishing things. But this guy has been unbelievable. And I think from Northeast Florida, he's got to be in the top 3, 4, 5 all time. To put on a football helmet, and by the end of the day, you're probably not going to supplant Bob Hayes, but you might be right next to him.
You're not wrong. I always get, we always have these conversations, are we going to ever see this again? With Tom Brady, now we have Patrick Mahomes doing his thing. But, honestly, we can ask this question. You talk about a guy in Derrick Henry who has now led the league in attempts 4 different times in his career. In 4 different seasons, has led the league in attempts. He had 280 last year, which actually led the league. And this is a guy who, all things considered, should be on the back 9 of his career. The way that the running back position is treated now, and it's more by committee, it seems like, or it's getting the spell, getting your spell, getting the guy in and out. Will we ever see another guy like Derrick Henry? Because I don't see the NFL going to power run anytime soon. It's a quarterback-driven league and everything. Is Derrick Henry kind of the last running back of his style?
Yeah, I hate to say, I think he is that unique. I think, are we ever going to see a LeBron build play again? Mm-hmm. I mean, that is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of athlete, it feels like. Mm-hmm. Maybe we will, but I don't know. And I think Derrick kind of fits it. Derrick is that much of a specimen at that position. Those kind of players do play linebacker or defensive end, right?
Yeah.
That's the unique. It's not even the style, the power run. It's more the body type. Where you'll be pushed to another position. They tried to push him to another position.
Yeah.
So I would say unlikely, but the reason I hesitate just a little bit is, what do we see all the time? Athletes are bigger, faster, stronger than ever before. I don't know how you get bigger, faster, stronger than Derrick Henry, but my guess is somebody will at some point.
I mean, maybe, but then, can you stay healthy that long, though, Brent?
He's a unicorn, man. He really is. He's a unicorn. This branches out to a couple of different topics I don't want to forget about. But before we do that, let's finish up on Derrick Henry. Marcel Robinson caught up with him this past weekend in Yulee at his camp and talked to him about obviously giving back to Yulee and also a little bit more about football, too.
It feels great. Hopefully the rain stops a little bit, but finally excited to put on an event. A big event, have a lot of people in the community come out and be a blessing to these kids and have something fun and something that people can look forward to in the community. We're excited to see it all come to fruition. So.
As you're rolling up, you're seeing all the line out there, all these people happy to see you, all the smiles on all the kids' faces and everything, man. Just how does it feel to every time you come home to get that same kind of love each year?
Yeah, it's a blessing. I grew up here, so this is home, and all I want is be a blessing to everybody back home, and everybody come out and have fun with one another, keep building on this thing, and trying to be a light to these kids.
You're a little bit different this year. Obviously, most guys, when they come back, they put on the football camp. They go to their school, have the coach and everybody comes out. But for you, wanting to put on this carnival, not just having the kids kind of come out and do the football thing, but to get the community event together. Why was it important to do that and kind of get away from football a little bit?
Because I think usually football camps is more for the boys and more male friendly for the camp. I just want to get everybody involved. Girls, the whole community, so everybody feel like they're a part of this whole thing rather than just going to football camp.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. Obviously, a little bit of a change of scenery for you. Spending all this time in Nashville, now you're out here in Baltimore. Talk about how that transition has been and how you like being up there with the Ravens.
Oh, it's been good. A new start, a new chapter that I'm looking forward to. Got to learn and get to know everybody and go through OTAs and the all-season program with them. So I'm excited to put the work in and let it all come together.
So how many of those 99-yard runs are we going to see on someone like the Bengals and the Browns? We've seen it against Jacksonville a lot. You got some of those left in the tank?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I got plenty left in the tank. AFC North is probably one of the best divisions in football, so it's going to be tough. There's going to be probably more tough runs than the long runs, but eventually they'll come.
That's Derrick Henry and Marcel Robinson. What a stud, man! And here's not Marcel.
Oh, come on! It's a good interview. Yeah. Hey, that necklace, by the way,
unbelievable.
Dude had a Pandora bracelet around his neck. Dang.
I really admire Derrick because for a couple of reasons. I think he's like this gentle giant, really.
Yeah.
Super nice guy, and doesn't like the limelight. Mm-hmm. Doesn't seek it, doesn't want. I mean, he's going to get it because of his position in the NFL and everything, but he's never been that. Never go back to draft day. Like most guys do draft day parties, and we like that. He didn't want us cameras in there or anybody else in there. It was just kind of like a family thing, and that was it. And I always remember that. But that's kind of who he is. It's all about stay true to who you are, and we'll see what he does in Baltimore. I'll tell you this: it's good to get him out of Tennessee, and I think now that he's out of Tennessee, I feel like I've always said it's a weird deal here. It's like hard to fully root for him in Tennessee. Which is unfair to him. I mean, we always root for I always root for the local guys. I love the locals doing well, but when he's stiff arming the players into oblivion every single time he plays the Jaguars, I mean, he's going to the Hall of Fame potential because of Jacksonville. If you just take his numbers against Jacksonville, including the last one he played in Tennessee against the Jags, so it's pretty wild. All right, so that brings me to two other things here when we're talking about Derrick Henry. I said the one player, we mentioned a bunch of names that could change you, make you from contender to Super Bowl champ.
Yes.
Is there one of those that the Jags acquired?
This year?
Yeah, and who would it be? We're not saying it's to the degree of Derrick or maybe even to a Russell Wilson or somebody else. But if you had to identify one player that takes them from contender to playoffs or a bigger run than that, who are you identifying this year that we look back on and say that's the guy that made the difference?
I'm identifying the team's biggest need in the offseason, and I'm identifying the leadership that's going to come with said signing, and I'm going with Eric Armstead.
Gosh, we are on the same page.
Come on, man. Sharing a brain.
Yeah.
But it's obvious, though, right?
Well,
I mean, who else would you say?
I think people could say
Mitch
the acquisition
Morris,
of Mitch
Morris is a good one.
I think you could say the acquisition of Brian Thomas Jr. to the extension of the field. I don't think I'd say this about Gabe Davis, but I do. The unknown on Brian Thomas Jr. is a first-round pick. What if he has a monster year? If he has a monster year and he's spreading the field and they're throwing touchdowns galore, now Trevor's got 35, that's going to be a big reason why, right? Ridley didn't necessarily do that. He's replacing Ridley. You might have got a better option than Ridley. We don't know that yet.
Yeah.
So we're trying to predict the future. I like the Mitch Morse one here. That's interesting.
I love the Mitch Morse one here by YB400 just because think about how much this team is putting stake into Mitch Morse. They said our offensive line was a giant liability last year. We're comfortable with it. Let's just change out the center position. We'll be fine. So that's really telling.
So why you say Armstead more from a leadership standpoint?
No, I mean I'm saying Armstead from tank. I'm saying Armstead for everything. I'm saying Armstead from a leadership standpoint, but I'm also saying a big gaping hole last year, pun intended, was the interior defensive line and the pass rush and also in the run game. And I think if you can even have halfway decent interior defensive line play, that makes quarterback sacks that much easier. That makes stopping the run that much easier. So, yeah, I think, does Eric Armstead still have some left in the tank? I think so, but also it can't be much worse than what you had last year.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think all of it. It's the complete package of Armstead. And maybe we're giving him a little bit too much credit. He's coming off injury, too. I think we have to consider that. He's a little bit older now. But I think we make the comparisons and probably unfair. We don't need him in Jacksonville to do what Calais Campbell did. But what he can do leadership-wise, we already know he's a great community locker room guy. Checks those boxes. If healthy, he's a very productive player and has been for his entire career. And what he does to help Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen be even better, and the other guys on the interior even better. How he extends that line is really, it's fascinating to me because I think if they did not have him, we'd be questioning a lot. Devon Hamilton, Roy Robertson Harris, the depth behind the other guys of Trayvon and Josh. And what they'll tell you is every time you ask the question about, hey, what about the depth? Well, who's behind Josh? Who's behind Trayvon? They say, well, we got Eric Armstead. They're going to use him in that role. True. That's their answer. Yep. So, I mean, they really, if you look at him as a true pass rusher, they have three really good pass rushers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you're right. I think what he does to everybody else, what he does to the locker room, and again, we've got to predict performance here, that he does what he's been doing in his career. He does not have to have a 20-sack season. He doesn't have to have a 15-sack season. But if he can get to 8, 9
he has to do something,
type of sacks, then now we're talking about a guy who made a huge impact.
Of course. I mean, we always talk about Calais Campbell, filling the void of Calais Campbell. Yes, he was a great leader. Yes, he was a great locker room guy. Yes, he was a great guy in the community as well. But we wouldn't be talking about all that if he didn't have the production on the field as well. So that's what Eric Armstead needs to do.
All right, I got another question, but we're going to take a break first. So we'll get to that one. It has to do with quarterbacks in Jacksonville, and not necessarily for the Jaguars. We'll do that when we come back on the Brent Austen Show here on a Tuesday, July 4th week. Hope you're having a good day so far, and looking forward to the rest of it. It may include get a break from work and head on to vacation, a long vacation week ahead possibly for you. Not for us. We'll take you until 1 o'clock here in the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. And at 2 o'clock today, after the game, we'll have our Tim Krause episode from last week. We're actually recording a few more episodes. If you haven't caught it yet, I think you'll love it, especially if you're in the coaching ranks or like high school football in the area. Bishop Kenny coach Tim Krause on After the Game, presented by Baker Sports. That's coming up today at 2 on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. You find that on actionnewsjacks.com. The Action News Jacks app. You can find it on Action News Jacks now app on Roku and Google TV and Apple TV, all the rest. So go check it out. 2 o'clock after the game today. Summertime means sizzling sales at Nimnick Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Nimnick never charges above MSRP. You can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnick Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnickBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnick is there for you, even on Sundays. Visit the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
It's hard to put a price on comfort, especially when you use that comfort on a daily basis. But if you were going to put a price on it, how does the lowest price guaranteed sound? Furniture Source is going to have the biggest brands, whether it's Ashley, Casper, or Tempur-Pedic, and once again, it's going to be the guaranteed lowest price in Jacksonville. Right now, my friends at Furniture Source are going to give you the ultimate hookup because all month long, they're making their inventory wholesale price. Check out their markdowns up to 50% off. And remember, since it's Furniture Source, you're getting the guaranteed lowest prices in Florida or your money back. Don't have the cash on you right now? It's no worry. Shop endless options to suit your style and budget and enjoy 36 months off with no interest financing. Why use your money when you can use theirs? Whether it's beds, couches, tables, or chairs, Furniture Source is going to have exactly what you're looking for. Shop the lowest prices in Jacksonville guaranteed. Find the location nearest you at FurnitureSourceJacks.com.
People helping people is at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Jacks and Alive Credit Union, a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Oh man, it is that time. I love being outside, but it is just so hot. Oh my gosh, I cannot be outside. Well, you know, it doesn't have to be. As a matter of fact, I've got the perfect solution for you to be able to stay outdoors and not look like this guy.
GW Outdoor Solutions has the solution that will help you create areas of shade with their automated retractable awning. As the summer months inch closer, the high temperatures will be right there too. With GW Outdoor Solutions, go from scorching to cooling in no time with one simple push of a button. These innovative shade solutions not only provide protection from the sun and rain, but also add style and functionality to your home. Let GW Outdoor Solutions transform your backyard into paradise. Check out GWOutdoorLiving.com for your free estimate.
New to town or always been in town? Everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martinos get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza. Some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're going to love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us. And at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations. Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
All right, so I have a quarterback question about Jacksonville. I was thinking about that. Derrick Henry kind of got me thinking about this. Maybe even Trevor Lawrence got us thinking about this.
Okay.
This area is loaded with talent in sports. And this kind of got me thinking about it, too. From the Christian Millers to the Ryan Murphys to the Caleb Dressels to the, you name it, Tebow's. Every sport. Miles Russell. I mean, we're talking about these guys all the time. They're local guys. I love that part. Tebow is an example of a quarterback that obviously was very, very good and one of the greats of all time in college, but didn't have that career and wasn't going to have that kind of career in the NFL. Mm-hmm. We now have a bunch of quarterbacks that are being groomed and trained here in Jacksonville, like Anthony Richardson, who's a top 5 pick. He's not from Jacksonville. He's from Gainesville, but he's around here. Minshew works out here. Brock Purdy works out here. So we have like this little machine. On top of that, you've got the young quarterbacks where we're seeing guys like Colin Hurley go to LSU out of Trinity Christian and Hewlett down in St. Augustine. He's going to go play. These guys are going to USF and UCF and all over the place. Wake Forest. Our guy at Creekside, Sean Asheville, he's going to play at Rutgers. Like, they're going to play D1. But what we really haven't had recently is like a Trevor Lawrence type. Like, where's the stud? Now, you maybe one ends up being that way.
Yeah.
But where's the can't-miss quarterback from Jacksonville that makes it? You know, that actually is the guy. Now, again, we can project that maybe Colin Hurley is that. Since 8th grade, people have been talking about Hurley. He's had a nice career at Trinity. He's going to LSU. He's going to play in the big time, we think. Mm-hmm. Where is that guy? And could he be up the road in Athens at the University of Georgia and Carson Beck?
Yeah.
Maybe. But I think that's hard to predict. He's going to be a top pick next year in the draft. I don't know if that makes him a surefire guy to be like Trevor Lawrence, right? Or to be Justin Fields, or you name your guy. It's kind of wild with all the talent we've had in Jacksonville, though we really haven't had that guy emerge at the most high-profile position in the sport of football.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little wild, you know. I mean, I guess, like, what, does Texas have a lot of quarterbacks come out?
I think so.
But also, like, it's just because you're a big, like, 5-star recruit, it doesn't translate to being the next big quarterback in the NFL, though, either.
Absolutely. Tom Brady wasn't that.
Yeah,
Brady might have been a 4 or 5-star recruit. I don't know. Yeah. He went to Michigan.
Yeah.
So, but he was a 6th-round draft pick. So that's what I'm saying about Carson, right? Like, Carson Beck or Mac Jones. 15th overall pick. Yep. Doesn't make you... Listen, the part of this story here and the why is it's a bustable position.
Yeah.
It's probably the most bustable position. Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of 5-star cornerbacks not really make it to the degree that I'm talking. Mm-hmm. They still had very nice college careers, but not to the degree I'm talking. Mm-hmm. Derrick Henry, I'm not sure, even though he was as good as he was at Yulee, people pegged him to have this kind of career.
I mean, who could foresee that?
So they're unpredictable things.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying by nature, Whether it was Mac, whether it's now Carson Beck, whether it's one of these young kids playing, it wasn't Tebow. He looked like he could be the guy to do that. Mm-hmm. It feels like we're missing that. We're missing the quarterback that is a star in the NFL from Jacksonville. I bet you could name every other position.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. It's more of an acknowledgement, not really. I don't know how you find that. There's plenty of training. There's plenty of talent. Now, when I first came to town, there was a lack of talent at the QB position to this degree.
Sure.
But over the last handful of years, the talent has continued to. I mean, we just looked at a class last year. We did a bunch of stories on it that the top 10, 11, 12 guys were like, whoa.
He was still up. I get he's not Trevor Lawrence hype, but like Tebow was a first-round pick. Is Tebow the biggest quarterback by far?
You know, I'm probably missing somebody way back. So let's just say recently. Recent history. I mean, Mac was picked 15th overall. That was higher than Tebow.
True. Yeah.
And Carson's going to be picked higher than both of them.
Yeah.
He's projected, I think, to go like top 5 next year. It might even be the number 1 overall pick, depending on how his season goes. Mm-hmm. So it just shows you. I think what it shows you is the nature of the position. I think it's just so difficult to be good at that spot.
Let me ask you this. I got to bring up the numbers now. And it's so hard, though, because, like, I mean, Tebow did win a playoff game. Say what you want. Guy won a playoff game.
Yeah. I mean,
who do you think, when it's all said and done, I mean, I think it's obvious. We'll say, who do you think, when it's all said and done, is going to have the most successful career as a starting quarterback? Mac Jones or Tim Tebow? And obviously, I'm putting a lot of stake into winning a playoff game.
Well, really, they both had 1 year. When you look at it, now Mac played more than 1 year, but they both had one productive year.
Yeah, I mean, Tebow played. Well, yeah, technically, Tebow played in 2 seasons, but as like a starter, it was really just
the year they went to the playoffs. How many games did he play in?
That was 2011, right? I think it was. So he went 7-4.
Okay, so he started 11 games.
Started 11 games,
and then won a playoff game.
And then won a playoff game.
What did Mac do? Do you have Mac's up there?
I can bring it up right now.
Because Mac, first year was very good. I mean, they won a ton of games and went to the playoffs. But he also won a game where he threw 3 passes in a game, you know?
Mm-hmm. So Mac Jones, well, his first year played. I mean, so what do you want from Mac Jones?
How many games? What was his record?
So he went 10-7 his first year, 6-8 his second year, and then last season went 2-9.
That's a good question. Then who is better? Mac has more games played.
Oh, a lot more games played.
The only thing I would suggest that his rookie year numbers were better than Tebow's. The magic wasn't there like Tebow.
Yeah.
But remember, Tebow would be not great, and then all of a sudden, the last 3 minutes.
See, I guess for whatever reason, I thought Tebow played. You see, it to me, it's got to be Mac Jones, even right now. I thought Tebow played in a lot more games for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he started 16 games in his career.
Is that all he started?
And Mac Jones started 42 games.
42. So. Yeah, so you got to give him the nod. But again, the memorable moments of Tebow, what's crazy about that year wasn't just the playoff game.
Yeah.
It was like 3 straight weeks of winning with like 4 minutes or less to go.
I know, but also it sticks out to me like Mac Jones literally playing a game where he didn't throw a pass.
He did.
You know, like, those things stick out to me. But no, it's
in
Mac
recent
Jones.
history, Austin, I guess this is the point of the story. It's pretty wild that we have all this local talent. I give you Derrick Henry. I can give you Laramie Tunsil on the offensive line, one of the best offensive linemen in the game. Defensively, I'm sure we could go a lot of different places here as like just over the years. And maybe there are other positions like wide receiver wise. We got a bunch of receivers in the league. I don't know if anybody's like now in history it tells us you got a ton that contributed to the NFL. I'm talking about in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm probably missing some names. I didn't do my homework on this. So it just kind of popped up in my mind. But the bottom line is, like, when are we going to get the quarterback? And Mac and Tebow, they had a chance at it, but they don't look like they're going to be it. Now, listen, in fairness to Mac still has a chance. He has 42 games started. This is a reprieve year, catch your breath year, and then maybe he gets another opportunity and does what Gardner Minshew does and parlays that into an opportunity and takes it and runs. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not predicting that's going to happen for him, but he could still be that guy, I guess. I mean, he's still got the window of opportunity to be that guy. But I do think sooner or later, I guess what my thought process is, it's coming.
Okay.
It's coming soon. There's going to be a quarterback out of Jacksonville that really becomes Trevor Lawrence, becomes Aaron Rodgers, becomes Lamar Jackson, becomes one of the names, the household name. Not that he has to be the greatest quarterback of all time, but he becomes an elite quarterback in the NFL. I think that's like what we're waiting for. Right? We've had baseball players, we've had basketball players out of here, we've got Olympians, a lot, but that's the one that we got coaches and other things, but we don't have really that.
Do you think
the quarterback spot?
I mean, and once again, obviously you have a lot better feel for this than I do. Is the best player recently Grayson Allen then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, has had a very nice career.
Dude, I mean,
quietly. Quietly.
Well, yeah, I mean, he just got paid some money.
And we don't have a ton of basketball players come on.
Sure. Yeah.
But especially recently. But he is one. Yeah, that's a really good call. And again, has had a very nice career. Make a ton of money and hang around for a long time in the league, which I think is a credit. Grayson's always he's going to be a fascinating story to look back on someday. What's wild to me is when I was in New York, Jimmer Fredette came from the Albany area, right?
Yep.
And Jimmer was awesome and so fun to watch. And then he goes to BYU and he's so fun to watch and he's awesome. And then he gets to the pick and I'm like, this kid's going to have a good career. The way the NBA's played.
Yeah.
I mean, we always said, Ty and I would say, like, why don't you team him up with LeBron? He needs a 3-point shot.
I mean, literally, like Jimmer, we thought Jimmer was like what Steph Curry was going to be.
There you go.
Like,
or like kind of what Caitlin Clark feels like now, right? To the WNBA. Well, the problem with Jimmer is he couldn't play defense.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think that's what got him out of there. What's admirable about Grayson Allen is he's become a very good 3-point shooter. In fact, he led the league in 3-point shooting last year.
Correct.
He's a dynamic athlete. We know that from the slam dunking days and everything else.
At Duke,
But what we didn't know is he's probably developed himself into a defender that could last in the league.
True.
Because that's the part that's usually missing. And I understand we say, and maybe has the game changed because of that?
Yeah.
We say that about the European players, but you've got to be really good on offense.
No, you
be able to not play defense.
You have to average 30 points a game to not play defense.
Which means Grayson's playing some defense.
He's playing some defense.
Right?
Yeah.
Why hasn't Grayson Allen ever entered the dunk contest?
That's a great call. Yeah, I mean, he won it at Duke, and Duke had some great athletes.
High school wise and everyone else. Like, that's where he started getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, because, I mean, we got G League players in the dunk contest.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Now, maybe.
Why wouldn't you?
He was always this crazy good dunker, and I think it got everybody's attention because he's this white kid, right, at Providence.
Yeah.
And maybe by NBA standards, he's not like this crazy great dunker.
I don't know, man. If you won he won the dunk contest at Duke, right, or not? Am I mistaken?
Or maybe he had a collegiate dunk contest.
I thought
he definitely won some. I just don't know if he was on the AAU.
And I think he had like the highest vertical in Duke history, something like that. I don't know. Yeah,
but I'm a little surprised maybe he hasn't entered that.
I mean, maybe he just doesn't have like a good arsenal of dunks.
Why not? Why not?
I don't know.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back lunch hour here on the Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jack's 24/7 network. We'll keep some football talk going and a couple of other things, including robots. They have entered the fray. Maybe they've entered the fray a long time ago. We'll tell you what we're talking about when we come back. It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket. And while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot, any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jacks to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jacks in your app store either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jacks 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms. Whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV, you can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Yeah, welcome back. Lunch hour here on a Tuesday. Don't forget Donato's Pizza, Brent 20-year code if you want some pizza. It's fantastic. Jack's Beach, Mandarin, and you can save 20% on your order. All you have to do is go Brent20, BRENT 20 to save 20% at Donato's Pizza. Brent Martineau along with Austin Lane. And, big story today, really the last couple of days, NBA money is wild. We started the show that the whole first hour of the show was not planned today. We just jumped in and got going. It was kind of a fun topic to talk about. We thought so. Hopefully you did too, but you can always go back and check it out on the podcast, Action Sports Jacks podcast, Brent Austen Show, wherever you get your podcast. And you can always see us on YouTube, of course, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. But don't forget about the network. That's where we're putting our whole lineup, not just the Brent and Austen Show there. You can see things like After the Game, Miller and Moulton Show. They're kind of on a little bit of a break, so they're doing a best of this week. And starting next week, we debut Young and Norvell show. Patrick Young, former Florida Gator, and Terry Norvell come to the lineup next week starting 4 to 6. And we'll basically be lined up on the network side 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. with different content. So again, it's not just our show. We love you watching on all the different platforms, but you can find things on the network, of course, at actionnewsjax.com, Action News Jax app, and download Action News Jax now if you're watching from your living room on Roku or Google TV or Apple TV. And we're going to continue to put more things there, like the Jacksonville Armada. We put the Old School Kingfish Shootout. High school football season's coming. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff. So we are building a network here. We're really proud of how it's gone so far and excited about it because it's working.
Yeah.
So we'll have more coming in football season. Been kind of fun. That was the fun part about taking a break. So you can kind of look back on where we've been and where we're going.
Yeah.
And this has been almost like closing in on a year since this concept was birthed. But it's only really been about 3 months old.
Since it was conceived and birthed.
Yeah. Conceived is probably a better way.
Yeah, you're good. Birth is fine.
Birth kind of sounds better.
Yeah.
Born, birthed, conception, born.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, we're both fathers. I just think of birth, and I think of that whole process.
I was talking to Garrett Beaton, speaking of being a father. His kid's 2 months old.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, hey, how's it going? You know, I mean, I was on vacation for half of his life. And he's like, yeah, you know, pooping, eating, sleeping. I was like, yeah, the dad part doesn't really ramp up for another month or so.
Yeah. Well, it always helped too because I was playing for the Bears at the time, so that was a good
really?
get out of jail card right there, man. I'm like, oh, that's going well. I got to go play football now.
I was actually thinking this from a dad point of view. This ran across my mind the other day. You're not there yet. See, I always say this about the kids. If you don't have kids yet, or you got a little one, or whatever it is, the stages to me were all fun. Like everybody would be like the terrible twos. For us, it was really like if there was a terrible twos. I'm not sure they were as terrible as people say.
Yeah,
but it was really 3 for our kids. Like, I guess we were always a year behind. It just felt like my kids were always younger, but 3 was way